Hi conscious beings, welcome to my channel on Oracle and Spirituality. Today it's a Q&A video. I am answering a question that has been asked to me again and again and again and again and again and again since the 16th March this year, which is, and you Gaëlle, what do you think of this pandemic and this confinement situation? How do you feel about it? Through this question, I convey spiritual, and through the answer I'm giving, I convey spiritual teachings to guide people who are right now awakening, so that I can enlighten their steps. And in my response, I also share my future visions that I have for the collective, which I intuitively feel is materializing and will materialize. And for those who don't know me, my name is Gaëlle. I am a life guide and a spiritual teacher, and I help meaning seekers navigate a more conscious life toward greater happiness. If you like what I'm saying here, if it resonates with you, then feel free to subscribe to my channel and click the bell button for the notifications so that you can receive more content and get notified whenever I release. I also do oracle card readings, and for those, by the way, who are waiting for the next series, I haven't started yet, to be honest, but I'm gonna do them. I'm a little bit late on my schedule compared to what I usually do, but I tend to, and I try to follow my flow, my personal rhythm. But don't worry, it's coming, and sorry for those who are being impatient and waiting for it. It's coming. So in this video, what I wanted to say as well is that I'm sharing the answer I gave to one particular person. So the answer is far from being exhaustive in regard to what I think about this situation. But I recommend you watch my other YouTube channel if you're interested in more insights, like a larger view. I made a way longer video. I'll put the link in the description. It is in French, but you can get the English subtitles, which are auto-generated by YouTube. It's not available on mobiles and tablets apparently, but if you watch from a computer, you'll be able to enable them. So it's at the bottom right of the video. You just need to click on CC to activate the closed captions. Then you click on the gear. You go to subtitle CC and to auto translate. And then you select your language, and therefore English for you. So the answer I gave was to Elijah. He asked me the question on the 18th March. And here is his question, like the way he put it. So he said, I'm sure you have some opinions on this virus and on the fact that it's changing everyone's lives very much so globally. So what I want to say on a side note is that this particular person is very much interested in astrology, involved in it, has studied it, and so my answer will have some astrology components. Because of course I'm responding to him particularly. So I told him, okay, so let me see. Of course I've got an opinion. Yeah, to me it's the second stage of the awakening that first started in 2012 with the end of the Maya calendar, launching the age of Aquarius. 2020 was astrologically predicted to be a year of great death and transformation, breakdown on the old system and creation of new structures. My take on this is that it is the end of an old world, not the end of the world, because on a side note, the end of the world was predicted to be on 2012, but I think it was just the end of a world, not the world. Anyway, and 2020 is the second stage. Okay. So it's the end of an old world, the beginning of a new one. It may probably not happen overnight, but rather through a long progressive process. But the changes will be long-lasting. I think people will, for most of them, be pushed to stay present with themselves, maybe for the first time of their life, because of the confinement. Everything is slowing down. It's like a pause in people's life. And because they'll have to stay at home, living at a slow pace, without being able to escape into their habitual escaping activities, which are work and hobbies, they'll have to look at themselves for real. And so do their inner work. They'll end up questioning their up to now day-to-day life and figure out, as well as reevaluate their values, what is important to them, who they are, who they really are, what they really want to do with their life. Being forced to find solutions to work remotely will allow them to experience a different work lifestyle. And when it's there, they will keep it. And yeah, because it's there, they will keep it. They may not want to go back to the old way while, like, what I mean by that is that because they've put in place some structures and they've experienced it, now they can actually keep it and work with it. They won't want to go back to an old way of doing things. So, what did I say else? Yeah. Because they've put in place structures to work at a distance, then they will want to keep it. And people may also quit their job, creating their own home-based business that fit their newfound lifestyles and purpose. If existing businesses have many of their employees or contractors working from home, they won't need as big business places as they do have now. So they're relocating to smaller places, which means new available space for residential properties. I'm very much talking about big cities here. Therefore, the prices may go down and it may be more affordable to live in big cities, those that are very tensed in terms of accommodation and also that have public systems, transportation and all those things very packed and stressed out. So it may release the tension. So that's the kind of things I'm seeing. So for me, definitely it's positive what's happening right now, but definitely I don't feel personally affected to what is occurring at the moment. I'm watching it from a very distant and detached eye, with a non-attached perspective. And I'm also sensing a massive gap between what is actually happening energetically and how panicked people are. But for sure, the media are one part of the problem, not the only part, because the fear that people inherently have within themselves is also part of the story, because it's rather the fear itself that is causing the problems, not the actual facts. But anyway, what I can tell is that the media are presenting things kind of only in a dramatic, scary way and not in a positive way. And people are drinking that because they are plugged into the matrix and they can't even imagine not watching TV, not watching the news, not watching and reading mainstream content. And so then they are relaying that into the social media. And by the way, I am not even going to Facebook. So that's what I said at that time. Because I'm reading here the answer I gave on the 18th. So people were very panicked at the time. So what I was saying is that I'm not even going to Facebook anymore right now because it's so polluted that I literally can't breathe. And that's true, I could not breathe. It was just impossible. All right, so there is no one post talking about anything else than this virus thing. But now it's way more bearable, even though people are still talking about it extensively. Okay, so I don't watch TV, I don't listen to the radio, I don't read magazines nor newspapers, I don't consume mainstream content. Worth to notice, by the way, that I haven't done so since 2012. So that's why I think the awakening definitely started then, even though some people are saying now that it was a false, it was a mistake, it was an error, and that the awakening actually started. The actual date is 2020, and that it was not 2012, but I do believe it's 2012 because even many people, spiritual people that I know, have experienced the same changes, or definitely spiritual changes in 2012. It all started for everyone I know in 2012. Even people who are not properly awakened still, it still started in 2012. Anyway, so I'll resume what I was saying. So I was not watching any mainstream content, sorry, but I still got to know about this whole thing. So it was all over the place. Anyway, what I know is that it is going to shift mentalities and help people awake from the matrix into a more evolved consciousness, from 3D to 5D consciousness. And I didn't mention minimalism, but basically I think all these can help people reflect on the value of things and on what they actually need in their life, reflect on their consumption habits, and so I think it will accelerate the generalization of minimalism and conscious consuming, as well as getting out of the rat race. What you know, so this guy, I'm answering Elijah, was telling me, he mentioned the living without the need of the society, and so it's kind of joining what he was saying. So if something breaks, it means that it has to be rebuilt, and it won't be rebuilt the same way, the same exact way it was before, because times have changed from when it was first built. And of course, I'm not saying that it's going to shift from day to night in one instant. Of course not, because we're talking here about Saturn and Pluto. So it's definitely long, deep, transformative changes. Though Saturn is entering Aquarius, by the way, it has started. It has entered Aquarius already. Right now, I'm talking now. So we may see some unexpected changes occurring and some funny dynamics between the old structures and the fresh humanitarian newness, because of the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, and because they're still going to be nearby each other, I mean Saturn and Pluto, most of 2020. This virus issue, we will still have some flavor, we'll still give some flavor to 2020. What I mean by that, basically, okay, so I'll explain. What I mean by that is that because Saturn and Pluto are what created the virus in some way, and because they're still going to be next to each other for most of 2020, we will still see some stuff about that, about this virus thing, some effects all 2020, even though I don't believe that we'll be in confinement for the whole year. I think by the end of April or beginning of May, it will be all gone. And I think that's what I say after that. So let me see. Yeah, so what I was saying also is that the point is not the virus. The point is to restrict your society. Plus, Pluto and Saturn are going to make other conjunctions during the year, especially with Jupiter as well. So, yeah, it goes back to what I was saying just few minutes ago. The confinement here has been declared to be 15 solid days since it's the incubation time, but it may be reconducted to deal with the issue. In other countries such as China, it lasted 1 month or 1.5 months. So yeah, I think it. So that's what I was saying at the time, and now we know it was reconducted. But I was saying that they were saying 15 days to make people swallow the pill, and then they'll probably say they'll extend the confinement for another fortnight, and that's what happened. But anyway, so I was emphasizes the fact that it would not last just 3 days, because he was saying it would last 3 days, and I thought, no, for sure it won't last 3 days. But I think that the panic itself will settle down, especially when people will see there's not as much to fear. Plus, they're getting the equivalent of extra paid holiday, at least in France. For sure, in the US, it's probably not the same. But anyway, that's the first part of the answer I gave to this person, and then he asked me how I was, and he said, "How are you?" So I said, "I've been okay. Nothing changed much. From yesterday night, I had a 24 hours meditation and a 24 hours fast." Okay, so I'm talking about my life. Obviously, I slept during the night and had some pauses in between, but basically I didn't do much else except sleeping, napping, or meditating. And now that I'm thinking about it, it seems that this whole thing energetically was so intense that I had to do this. Intuitively, I think I had to do this 24 hours fast and 24 hours meditation, even though I don't eat a lot anyway, and that I meditate a lot anyway, all the time. So what did I say after that? So I said, I'm going to continue now, actually. Okay, so I was... yeah, and what I said is that I was trying to generate a feeling that I call the pleasure of being, which is my mysticism. And by the way, it is what I want to teach people, but I'm not there yet, not just yet. So it's not something I feel confident enough to teach now, because I haven't reached exactly what the full thing. So, all right. So that's basically what I feel about this whole situation. That's the answer I gave to this particular person. But the key word I think to remember in this video is the digitalization of the exchanges, the contacts, going from 3D to 5D, the end of the Maya calendar in 2012, 2020 being the second step, the beginning of the age of Aquarius, and Aquarius is all about digitalization, equality, horizontal hierarchies, so many things. You need to watch my video in French, because I recap so much. So, but basically, this is what I feel is gonna happen. People are gonna go within, maybe for the first time of their lives, to be present and to face themselves, which is really good, because that's how they can have breakthroughs and open their consciousness and awaken. So this is really a good thing, what's happening, even though it may appear really bad. And I don't think so many people will be actually affected. People are definitely being affected, but I think it won't be that horrific, factually. The horror will be more in people's minds. But also working at a distance, working from home. This is also what I envision. And also, I didn't mention that, but I think people are going to change the way they're looking after their children. I think they'll build better relationships with their children. They'll become coaches. They'll start to do some activities that they haven't had with their children before, because they're staying at home with their children. And so I think there will be a big shift, societal shift around children and how the society is organized regarding children. So minimalism, I talked about it. Yeah. So that's all I've got for you today. Like, subscribe if you liked what I shared with you. Also, I'll repeat, I'm gonna release my series for the my readings, oracle card readings. And by the way, I'm thinking of adding into my readings the archetypes from the major arcana of the tarot. So I'm going to add tarot into my oracle readings. So let's see. All right. Have a beautiful day, my dear conscious beings. And I'll see you soon in another of my videos.